The hip bones are actually three bones that have grown together while the baby is forming as a fetus. And this is the sacrum, of course. That's the 5 fused vertebrae. And here are the hip bones. There's a big hole within the hip bone called the obturator foramen. Obturator foramen. Remember, a foramen is a hole. That's actually the largest foramen in the human body, if you're interested in trivia, anatomy trivia. Are you interested in anatomy trivia, Alex?
You should answer.
Answer the question, Alex.
What was the question?
He said yes.
What? Okay, here are the three bones. They've colored them for you. The ilium is kind of the upper bone, and the ischium is kind of your butt bone, and then the pubis is up front. And again, those bones have kind of grown together, and so it's kind of like it's all one bone now. But originally it was three different bones when you were first developing fetus. There's different parts. This is called the iliac crest up top. The iliac fossa, remember, is a depression in a bone. A fossa is. What else do we have to know for this class? The ischial spine. That's this little point that sticks out here. The ischial tuberosity is this big kind of rounded portion right here where if you sit on your butt, you're sitting on those bones. Ischial tuberosity. This is the acetabulum. This is the area where the femur, the little cup for the femur that goes up in there. And there again is the obturator foramen, which is what? Do y'all know any trivia about the obturator foramen?
Oh, it's one of the largest. It is the largest foramen.
Largest foramen in the body. Very good.
You're welcome.
That was the trivia question, Alex. It's okay.
I know that.
Look at the difference between a female pelvis and a male pelvis. One of the main differences is the pelvic brim is larger in the female than in the male. The pelvic brim is kind of this area around here that eventually the baby has to fit through. And it's kind of a limiting factor on brain size. The brain can't get so big that it can't fit through the pelvic brim or the baby won't be able to be born.
That's why I'm not.
One of the ways evolution has figured out to get around that is to have the bones of the skull not fuse until after the baby's born. And that way the head gets stretched during birth and can fit right through there. Gets oblong.
How would those bones change?
Well, ones that didn't change died because they didn't make it through the birth canal. So the only ones that survived were ones with those DNA mutations that allowed the fusion later. And that's the way evolution works. So when we take biology, we learn about evolution. But that's basically the idea. Of course, it's millions of years of evolution. So that's a slow process. Look at another thing, the pubic arch. It's real wide in a female right here versus more of an angle in a male. And that's how we know Fred, our skeleton, is a male. He has a smaller pelvic brim and a more angled pubic arch. And if you're really good, you can see that the female pelvis kind of goes outward, is more flayed outward here. It looks more like a butterfly. And the male pelvis kind of is thinner, taller.
Like a moth.
And if you're really good at anatomy and you've looked at a lot of skeletons, you can just look and see right away on a skeleton if it's male or female. Of course, y'all haven't looked at many of them, so it's probably more difficult for you. The symphysis pubis is a piece of cartilage right here in front that joins the two pubic bones together. The symphysis pubis often tears during childbirth. That's another way out for a baby whose head might be a little large. Baby's being forced out, it can't get out, that's going to tear. It's probably why it's never fused together, so that some babies that are a little too big can get out. Probably very painful. Yes?
It looks like a stingray.
Like a stingray?
Yeah, see the mouth and 2 eyes at the top of the bone? No, the bottom.
Here? 2 eyes there?
Is that the bottom picture?
Here?
Like, look at the top of it.
Where?
At the top.
Like here? Up here?
Like, in the center. Right
Here? There?
That's the center.
That looks like a stingray?
No, up a little bit. Up.
I'm not seeing it.
That's the mouth.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I got you. Very nice. This area here is called the Sacral Promontory. It kind of sticks out as part of the sacrum. That kind of, you got to look at the skeleton for this. I probably should have it in there. It kind of sticks out like this. The sacrum kind of comes up like that. So here it kind of talks about some of the differences between male and female skeletons. Some of those which I mentioned. Here's the femur. Again, if you like bone trivia, it's the largest bone in the body. And the head of the femur up here, and there's a little depression right there called the fovea capitis, and you have blood vessels and nerves that go in through that little opening there. The lesser trochanter and the greater trochanter. Lesser, greater. You have to know those for your IDs. The neck. So the head would sit on the neck, right? That's pretty simple. You got your lateral and medial epicondyles. And if you just look at the bone, here's the way to understand which side's lateral and which side's medial. Medial means toward the middle. And so you see the head of the femur sticking this way. The head of the femur goes in toward the pelvis. And so the medial epicondyle and medial condyle, they're on the same side as the head of the femur. See, here they have the femur turned around. So the medial condyle is on the medial side, and the medial epicondyle is above the medial condyle. Epi means above. So there's the condyle, there's the epicondyle. There's the lateral condyle, and above that will be the lateral epicondyle. So that's a femur. Did I tell you the story of the burials in China or India where they bury them in a box, and the box just has to be big enough to fit the femur in there, and everything else will fit? Oh, it's that. It's a more efficient way to bury bodies. It doesn't take up as much space.
Why don't the bones decompose in the fire?
Because the fire, they don't build fires that are hot enough to burn the bones. If you get the fire hot enough, it burns the bones. But it's expensive to have an incinerator that gets a fire that hot. When they burn a body, incinerate a body here at a funeral home and it goes to ashes, that's a real hot fire, and that's an expensive oven to make. It's something you pay a lot of money for, and they just throw it on. I don't know what they do with it. I guess they burn it just with the regular fire, and that burns everything but the bones. Here, the tibia and fibula. You got your medial condyle, again, toward the middle. Your lateral condyle toward the outside. Your tibial tuberosity is a bump. It sticks out in front, and you can feel it right there on your tibia. There's mine. Feel your tibial tuberosity. Go ahead. See that bump right on the tibia there? No? You don't care for it?
I don't think I have to.
I played soccer when I was y'all's age, and I got a bunch of bumps on my tibia. My tibia kind of goes like this, from where people kicked it. Gotta wear those shin pads. So you got the fibula, the small one. Don't say fibia, say fibula. And then the medial malleolus and the lateral malleolus are the bumps of your ankle. You know what you felt your ankle bumps? Those two big bumps right there? The one toward the middle is the medial malleolus, and that's part of your tibia. And the one toward the outside is your lateral malleolus, and that's part of the fibula. Here's the foot. And so you got your tarsals, your metatarsals, and your phalanges. You got your calcaneus is the big heel bone here. That's a tarsal. And you got your talus is right here. All the weight from your whole body comes down on these bones here, and the talus kind of takes all the weight and then disperses it amongst the rest of your foot. The calcaneus, your heel, takes a lot of the weight, and then your toes and the rest of your foot takes some of it too, a good amount of it. And let's look at the foot from a different angle here. Here we see the other bones. There's the navicular, lateral, intermediate, and medial cuneiform. The cuboid, which doesn't really look like a cube, but they call it the cuboid. There's metatarsals 1 through 5, and then your phalanges are your toes. Proximal, middle, and distal phalanx. Proximal means nearer the body, and distal means farther from the body. Questions about anything? Would you like to see the man with a backward hand?
Yes, please. Who would not? Are you sure?
Shocking medical video.
Our next video contains a shocking medical first. The one and only man with the backwards hand. In the rolling countryside of Tennessee lives a man who holds a very special place in the world of medical wonders. He's Wilson Collins, age 56. He lives in Arthur, Tennessee. He's the only person in the world with his right hand attached to his left arm. At first glance, when you see Wilson Collins' right hand sitting backwards on his left arm, it just doesn't look real. It defies all sense of reason and logic. But when you see him use his backwards hand for the first time, you can't help but admire his strength, courage, and determination. It's a miracle that he can do the things he does.
I've had people stare, and I've had people come up and ask me, want to know what happened to you. And I tell them.
Wilson wasn't born this way. His life changed in an instant. The year was 1981. He and his wife Linda were raising 2 young children in a small Tennessee mining town. The family was looking forward to Christmas, which was 5 days away. Wilson was at work pumping gas into a 50-ton truck when the driver accidentally backed up his rig, pinning Wilson to the ground and crushing his arms.
And And the truck, well, he got my arm, my right arm caught under his wheel, and he just pulled all that meat right off of it, down to the right hand. They rolled me over on my back, and I raised his hand up like this, and I seen it was gone.
His right arm was ripped out of its socket, and his left hand and forearm were shattered beyond recognition. He was rushed to the emergency room. His wife recalls seeing his twisted limbs for the first time.
This hand that was mangled up, it was turned all the way, and the thumb was on top, where, you know, ordinarily your hand would be on top, and it was white as cotton. And I started crying, he's going to die.
As doctors fought to save his life, they also searched for a way to restore his limbs. His right arm was mangled beyond repair, but amazingly, his right hand was in perfect condition. On the left side of his body, his left hand was totally destroyed, but his left arm was untouched. Doctors came up with the radical idea to attach the good right hand to the good left arm. They labored for 15 hours in an intricate microscopic world, reattaching blood vessels, nerves, muscles, and tendons, all backwards. And when it was done, Wilson had made medical history. He had a right hand attached to his left arm. Now the question, would it work? Everyone watched and waited to see if this strangely transplanted hand could possibly function.
I'd say for about a year, he depended so hard on me and the two kids. We were his rock. We'd done things for him.
It took time, but within a year, he slowly began to regain movement. Then came the challenge of learning how to use it.
I know that I had to get better. I couldn't sit there all my life. It was a dead hand.
Wilson endured years of painful physical therapy, struggling to master the most simple everyday tasks which he once took for granted. Now he's reached an independence he never thought possible. He owes it all to the surgeons who came up with the shocking idea to push the envelope of modern medical science by performing the world's only backwards hand transplant.
It's a miracle from God. He wanted me to have a right hand, and I got a right hand.
There you go. See? Man with a backwards hand. So be thankful you got two hands.